So welcome joining on this Amplon webinar, and sorry about this technical issues that we had in the beginning. My name is Kimmo Kallioniemi, and I am the founder of Amplon. I do have about 20 plus years experience from the industries as a business leader on multinational corporations, and then basically struggling to implement business strategies in different environments, and also had my own struggles with the Hoshin Kanri methodology with Excel spreadsheet. And that led me to decide to establish Amplon as a company around 6 years ago. And ever since we have on a mission to digitalize Hoshin Kanri and make the life of the enterprises much easier. So, let's start again from the beginning. So, on this webinar materials and webinar applications, you have this Q&A area, and I hope that you can post your questions here. We have a couple of pre-questions submitted in advance, and then there is if the Q&A area is occupying too much space, then you are able to hide it temporarily. My colleague here, online Prakriti, will ask these questions from me in case I have difficulties to read these Q&A sections. So before we really start, I would like to launch a kind of poll to actually understand a little bit better what is your current expertise within Hoshin Kanri methodology. And therefore, I hope you can raise your, let's say, expertise level, so I can adjust the presentation maybe slightly according to your responses. So what are the results? So there is somebody that is knowing Hoshin Kanri in theory, but haven't really used that. Then somebody again have used it in the past. Few people that are currently using it without the X matrix, and then a few that have used it with the X matrix. Surprisingly, quite equal distribution among the audience. So few words about the Hoshin Kanri methodology in the beginning, just to frame it, how does it look like from my expertise. Then we have some cases about the Excel, quite challenging. Then we move into the value proposition in digitalizing Hoshin Kanri, and at the end we have the live demo and time for Q&A. So regarding the Hoshin Kanri and kind of what it is and what are the misconceptions about it. The thing is that the Hoshin Kanri is a strategic deployment method that is very well known and selected method due to the fact that it helps organizations to seek strong alignment, and it's also a method to engage the employees. However, quite often in the top management, the misconception with Hoshin Kanri is that it's kind of taking the entire strategy perspective into consideration, which is not the case, because Hoshin Kanri as a strategy deployment method is basically taking part of the strategic planning, which is a separate area for the strategy management, and then there is the second area on this strategy execution. While as the strategy creation, the original groundwork for any business strategies, it is outside of Hoshin Kanri, because there you do a kind of background checks, SWOT analysis, you do part of the strategic choices also. And then the Hoshin planning, what it means basically, it's a goal setting, the alignment, and then the focus is on why. And then once the planning is done, then you enter in the execution mode, and then the management process or the management system is the key definition here. Again, the daily management is not directly part of Hoshin Kanri. Of course, there are intersections because strategy needs to be implemented and executed on daily basis. However, by definition, the daily management also carries a lot of activities related to day-to-day businesses and ongoing activities. And then if you look at the second kind of point on the Hoshin Kanri and the strategy in general, these are the elements of the business strategies, and it basically starts from the vision, what do we want to reach, the North Star, then it goes to mission, and then strategic choices. And all of these are basically, again, outside of Hoshin Kanri methodology. And the strategic choices area is quite important because that is basically defining in which business we are, and there are the choices that the board of directors are typically making for companies that are moving, for instance, from traditional car manufacturing into electric vehicle manufacturing. And once those choices are made, then these strategic objectives are being defined. And also the case is that it's typically the companies, the board of directors that are focusing on the top 3 items, plus also defining the key items on the strategic objectives. The lower part, again, from the strategic objectives to short-term annual objectives, the projects and activities until the KPIs, that's typically what the management teams in the companies are doing. And that's covered in the Hoshin Kanri methodology. And it's important to be able to communicate this, the role of Hoshin Kanri, because that's the typical misconception I hear from many companies when they have kind of successfully implemented Hoshin Kanri really operational level, but failed to actually engage the top management and the C-levels. If you look at the kind of business evolution and Hoshin Kanri, there have been in the beginning of Hoshin Kanri since it's kind of invented in 50s and 60s. So then the businesses used to be quite much simpler than today, and the kind of company structures were functional, built on functional organizations in the same physical locations typically, and then it was quite easy to implement the business strategies with Excel spreadsheets and having these OPEA rooms that all the documentation, all the critical material was posted on the walls. However, now the world is evolving, and more companies are huge corporations, which means that they have different businesses, they have different business lines, and then in Matrix they have different regions as well. Typically also the kind of manufacturing is separated from the core locations of the companies, and all this basically means that there are geographical boundaries between the organizations. Then you have the challenges from the matrix organizations, and then there are more and more layers in the company hierarchies. All that has led to a situation that managing, for instance, Hoshin Kanri on a corporate wide, it is extremely difficult with only Excel spreadsheets. And if you take kind of a sneak peek, what does it look like to run a corporate with Excel spreadsheets? So typically the case is that there is a file folder or SharePoint file, SharePoint citing quite a lot of different Excel files for different department or company strategies, and then when you open files, you have your X matrices and a number of different tabs containing a lot of information. And the Excel is good in many things, but when people are starting to manipulate and modify these, tweaking the information, it becomes quite difficult to consolidate and read this information. While as also if you have relation between different spreadsheets and tabs, it becomes quite complex to manage all the linkages and the information content. And then you have basically from action plans, KPIs, root analysis to different documents, different tabs. And when you have in multiple layers in the organization, the number of Excel spreadsheets and materials becomes really difficult to manage. So maybe it's time to look at what does the digitalization can do for the businesses. I would like to shoot the next poll just to understand what challenges you are facing currently, and to also understand what made you to invest time on this webinar. Let's look at the results. Quite interesting. Too many priorities have got weak review discipline, alignment issues. Those are the kind of top things. And I think this is also again good example that quite often Hoshin Kanri is not really a tool issue that is making all the hassles. It's more about the disciplines and management routines in the company that are needed in order to make really a successful Hoshin Kanri. And let's try to move forward. So what I have seen in the environments and discussing with a number of customers, the typical challenges they share with me is that separate documents are challenging to manage, and the alignment is depending on manual effort, and it's quite laborious to get it done. And then the X matrix and actions are often disconnected. And then interestingly, there seems to be also difficulty to standardize the management process, which basically means that when playing with Excels, it's easy to modify something, and then you have kind of different Excel versions and templates across the organization, and it doesn't seem to have a well standardized system. Then also, the typical thing in Excel is that top management and lower management are having totally different dashboards to look into. And then the mid-year adjustments with Excel are time-consuming, and then there are this hidden admin and training costs involved. And then last but not least, in Excel, even though it's a good tool, there is a lack of transparency, and the SharePoint, even though it allows sharing some information, all the information can't be shared with all the employees, and that leads to a loss of transparency. So Amplon is a tool that combines these three important aspects into the same platform: the planning with interactive X matrix, cross-unit alignment, the execution management with improvement project tracking and KPI tracking, and then reporting with real-time reports and integrated and update and full audit trail. And if I show you a kind of calculation on the value that digitalization can bring in the companies, it's shown here in this calculation, and quick walkthrough. The top basically contains some assumptions. So if you assume that the cost of managerial person is about €100 or $100 per hour, it's a fully burdened cost. And then we have a case that we have 2 layers on the X matrices, in total 10 X matrices, 1 top level and then 9 on the second levels. And assumption would be that there would be 7 persons in each team, which means that there is 70 people involved in the core strategy work. Then if we break it down on the activities like strategic planning, so there are 3 activities like filling time of 1 X matrix in hours, and this is now considering these great columns, the hours that are comparable with Excel and with Amplon. So this is excluding the why part, but this is more of consisting the time that is related with the what part of the activities. And then we have basically a significant time difference saved with Amplon versus the Excel. And then the next item is the preparation project charters, assuming that there would be 8 projects per matrix. Then again, time saving happening. And then the third is the preparation of KPIs with monthly targets, 8 pieces per matrix again. So that it gives a certain time advantage on the digitalization. And then when we move into alignment, and now when we have 2 layers only, we have the first level parent-child team meetings, 9 meetings basically, because we have 1 top level and 9 second level units that need to align. And there is always both management team members present in such alignment meetings. And then if there would be a second level child structure built, then the alignment would take a lot more time, including that there would be the horizontal alignment meetings. Altogether, that basically equals about 200,000 euro cost saving by digitalizing the strategy work. Then if you look at the strategy execution part, which covers the preparation time for monthly review meetings, and then you actually have the monthly review meetings, and at the end of the year you are doing it 12 times, once per month, and that again leads to a quite significant cost saving differences. And only in 1 year time, the financial benefits in digitalizing Hoshin Kanri are quite significant. So the Amplon itself, in our platform, we have designed it so that the X matrix is the core and everything is seamlessly available directly from the X matrix. And since it's an integrated platform, thing is accessible from one solution like KPIs and analytics to drill down to all the details that are needed. If you take a short case study, Hoshin International is a US-based corporation, and they actually started a kind of proof of concept in October with the first training. Then about 1 month later, we had a second training. This typically we do have the trainings in 1 week or 2 weeks intervals. This was a little bit longer time. Then in the December, they were already having a kick-off intro to all of their personnel that Amplon will be implemented fully as of 1st of January. End of January, the first monthly review was fully completed. In numbers, it meant that the operational excellence team of about 10 people received 4 hours of training, and they were able to actually cascade this training down to the rest of the organization, to over 30 X matrices, to 12,000 employees in 5 continents, just in a few months' time. Now they have been using Amplon basically a year. Currently, we do have users in most of the continents. We have clients in high-tech petrochemical, semiconductors, and more on the traditional industries and public sector organizations. So then that's all about the presentation. Do we have anything on the Q&A that I could respond right now?
Okay, so we have, what has been the hardest for organizations?
I think the implementations have went really smooth. The key people have kind of had a fear that there is a lot of pushback from the organization while implementing Amplon, but to their surprise and to our pleasure, all the implementations have went through really smoothly, and the regular employees who are doing these progress entries and review meetings, they have been extremely pleased with the easiness of use, and there is no pushback or whatsoever that I have heard about.
Another question is there a demo version to test the system?
Well, good question. Currently, we do a kind of proof of concept projects with clients, and this proof of concept consists of typically 5 to 7 weeks that the clients can use the application without restrictions, and they are also receiving a full training on the application. I'm now jumping into showing the Amplon demo.
Okay, maybe I'll just ask one last question.
Yes.
Does it integrate with the ERP systems such as Amplon?
Yes, it does. We build different API interfaces so that data can be flown from the ERPs to Amplon. And then there is a kind of standard interfaces from Amplon to export and connect the Amplon data into Power BI systems, for instance.
Okay, well, the next question I think will be answered from the software itself. So
now I have logged into Amplon, which is a web browser-based application run in a Google Cloud environment. Since it's a cloud-based application, there's no implementations required in a client systems, not even on the individual laptops. Just a regular web browser is enough. Which also means that from the technical point of view, the implementation is smooth and there is no real IT obstacles. When users are logged into Amplon, the first page basically contains of 3 segments. One on the left is the menu, and the menu content scales up and down depending on the user's access rights, so that the viewers who don't have any editing rights but can view the strategies, they have the top 3 items only, plus the release info and the user manuals. The project managers and the case owners, like KPI owners, they will have the My Tasks. And then the management team members who actually have the review meetings and are modifying the X matrix, they have the dashboard section available. And then for the administrators, they have a little bit more possibilities to configure the system, which also means that for the normal users, there is practically no need to provide any massive trainings. Typically, an integrated video that we have here available directly is sufficient to handle the onboarding of the masses of the users. Second element in the page is the organization structure that users can configure based on their own needs, and each box basically represents a department with their own X matrix and strategy plans. The user can navigate easily just to different department, different plans by clicking the relevant unit. And then the upper part here is an extract from the X matrix showing, as I have now, the group level active, the group level annual objectives, and the related projects with the real-time progress information and traffic light information. The idea is that when any employee is logging in, they can instantly see that is their own department doing okay with the strategy, or are there some issues which are highlighted with red or yellow traffic light. So the strategy is not anymore an issue or thing for the top management, but the idea here is that users, the viewers, can also understand how are we performing as a company. So then let's have a look at the X matrix. So we are using quite traditional X matrix, and there is a certain differences between the Excel and Amplon. The one most significant difference is that this is fully clickable, and users can click on any element and they can instantly see the correlation chain highlighted, which again has two important functionalities in the whole strategy deployment. One is that it helps the management teams to actually validate quickly that their correlation chains while building the X matrix is logical and there are no errors. With Excel, it's quite time consuming to check the correlations. But most importantly, this is excellent for regular users who are not the Hoshin Kanri experts nor the X matrix experts to understand that how things are connecting, and if, for instance, an employee is working on a specific project, they know instantly that it will have a consequence on the annual objectives and it will have impact on the long-term objectives as well. So that makes the strategy not only kind of easy to understand, but it also makes it clear for employees that how do they contribute on the strategy. The second big difference here is that that we have these info buttons, and then users can actually open a new window that provides more information. And again, there is an additional descriptions which eases the burden from squeezing in all the information into one Excel cell to make it clear that what does this objective mean. And now when you have this additional description, the kind of objective and project titles can be quite short, and it again makes the X matrix easy to read and have more clarity. Then furthermore, users can add links here, and which, for instance, this case could be a document in the SharePoint showing the corporate strategy presentation. And again, the idea is that then users can easily access to further information. Then when we look at this correlations, for instance, here, or the other information, we have these KPIs, and again the KPIs will produce more information. Again, this X matrix view is intended for all the viewers, not really for the management to review it, but again for the employees, they can see the evolution of certain KPIs in graphical format, and all these comments made for each data point can be also retrieved, which makes it more understandable that what is this KPI all about and are we doing good. Then if we look at the project charter, the A3, this is not only basically a simple line item of a project, but it's actually fairly comprehensive project management system if that is needed, and which also means that you can have the financial follow-up here in the Amplon. And again, the reason why it is here is purely to increase the transparency in the organization, so that employees on a regular levels can also access to this information that is normally not available. And then the plan and what does the project planning mean here, that you can go down into task level of each project, or you can create sub-project structures, which can help in building these action plans in a more concrete way. Again, here users can add link to external documentations, and like in many cases, our customers, they add, for instance, link to SharePoint folder that contains specific business case calculations, and then in the SharePoint, the different access rights are maintained, and for instance, on the top management can access on the certain business case calculations. However, the link is here, and those who don't have access to SharePoint will get an error message, but those managers who have the access, they can easily go and find more information about that. Then there is so-called best practice fields that help organization to actually ensure that they have a solid reasons why this thing is done, and also so that it makes it transparent in the organization, so that from different departments employees can go and look and see what is this project all about. And it can contain also the scheduling, resource management as well. So this is basically the X matrix, and now I'm jumping into the next area, which is the strategy building, and that's the section that is useful when departments are building their action plans and their X matrices. And typically, the challenge in the organizations is the alignment or lack of it, or validating the alignment. So we have a special report here that you can check, for instance, how the annual objectives are aligned. And now you can see the same organization structure as from the front page. And by clicking, for instance, on a group level, you actually open up the window of the annual objectives on the group level. Now, by clicking on any of the group annual objectives like EBIT, you instantly actually see in a highlighted mode how this specific annual objective is connected from the lower levels and actually across the whole entire organization. And for instance, here in Denmark, they have a higher EBIT level because they have already been better performing organization. But then as part of the profitability exercise, they have created an additional objective to close the production line B, which is connected with the group level EBIT target. And then if you go down on the Denmark production level, which is one level low, there is this improved productivity kind of traditional objective, and then which is again converted from the above the 12% EBIT target. And then they have shared the same objective in closing the production line B here. Then on the sourcing and logistics, they have a own objective that is related to EBIT 12%, basically to seek material cost reduction by 3%. So it makes it clear to visualize and see how things are connected, or if they are not connected, then you are able to go back and see how the different departments are doing the planning work. And it's easy from the kind of company operational excellence or lean management positions to provide support to these organizations. Always these connections are made from bottom up, just like in the catchpole process. Now, then the question is that when the strategies are ready, how the information is starting to flow into Amplo and all these updates. So therefore we have this My Tasks section, which is actually pulling out all the tasks and projects and KPIs that I am personally responsible for. And now you can see that these are my tasks that are related to this new factory project. These are not all the tasks that are related to this factory project, but these are my tasks. And then I can see the deadline for the task, and then my duty would be then on a regular basis to update that, is it done or not done. And once that is done, I shall make a new comment that let's say completed, which I can add more like link to an external document if I want, but while saved, we have an audit trail history on the date stamps on each monthly review meetings, that what was the status of this item, any problems expected, what was the status at certain point of time. So the full audit trail remains there. Then moving to the project sites, again it takes out from the whole environment all the projects that I am personally responsible for. Sorry, small delay due to the mobile phone connection. So for instance here, I am responsible or the owner of all these projects. And for instance, the new factory projects, I can see that 7 out of 9 tasks or milestones are completed. And then it's my duty to then update the progress. Let's say it's 90% complete activity. And I can then also change the traffic light manually, or these can be made according to calculations. And then again, I need to make my comment, like let's say November progress, but a small delay, for instance. And I could add a link to a root cause analysis document if that would be needed. So as there was a small delay, I would actually indicate it with a new traffic light color. So that's how the information is entered in the system. And if I would be responsible for any of the KPIs, my KPIs would appear here. Let's say that we have now the November results from the employee satisfaction survey, and target for the month was 4.8, and then let's say that now we are in 4.6, or let's say that we have really bad results, some issues. So, and this was now the yellow traffic light came automatically based on the preset calculation rules and the boundaries that after a certain point you get a near miss or complete miss information. So this is how my monthly reporting is done in a couple of minutes. And now if you look at the top management view, or the management view that is designed for the regular monthly review meetings, we have this overall execution overview that all these annual objectives, projects, and the KPIs are in one simple view across the whole organization. So it gives a quick overview to anybody that where do we have red traffic lights and yellow traffic lights. Then if needed, then I could dive into a next matrix, or I would like to actually look at the verticals like KPI reports in a graphical format. And as you can see, the previously made comment for the employee satisfaction index is already instantly synchronized here with the latest comment. Or if I prefer to have it in the bowler view, the same is here, and the comment as well. And linked, it would appear here as a clickable link. Then if I would like to look at the projects, Takes a while to load. So then all the projects with the latest comments are here, and also the comment from the previous pages is visible. And if I would like to look into the complete audit trail history, I can go back and see the audit trail and understand. The management team meetings become extremely efficient, and it's easy to keep track on the activities. And benefit is that then the whole management process becomes standardized because everybody is using this exactly same templates to report the things, and also the management and the lower level organizations have access in the same dashboards to see exactly the same information. One sneak peek to the analytics capabilities that, for instance, you can drill down and choose instantly to see that which project is having red traffic light, and access to the logbook, or actually going back from the project chart there to see all the details would be accessible. So that is Amplon in a nutshell. I think now it's time for some questions if we have something.
Yes, so we have one. How detailed you'd recommend the task management in Amplon?
Well, it depends on the company and the company's maturity level. The thing is that Amplon doesn't do the Hoshin Kanri for you. It's basically a placeholder for the information, and the management and the experts like Hoshin Kanri facilitators, they can see if the information entered is done on a timely basis, which allows then these teams to address the process issues and possible happenings with the process performance.
Okay, so I have something in the private chat regarding the pricing of Amplon.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So go ahead.
Well, can you explain the pricing logic with Amplon?
Good. So the Amplon pricing is based on the number of X matrices. So we don't count the number of users, and that's again due to my personal history that I didn't want that companies need to start thinking that who would get the access. Instead, it's based on the number of X matrices, so that you don't have to worry that if you have 100 users or 1,000 users. It's better to have a visibility and transparency in the organization. So currently the price per X matrix is 1,320 euros per year, or $1,500 US. Then we have a small fee that is taking care of the training and onboarding and the implementation on the solution.
What size of company benefits of Amplon the most? What if it's too small?
Well, I think every company benefits from Amplon. So the smallest client we have is a startup from the Netherlands. They have 30 employees. And the reason why they decided to have Amplon was that they wanted to, as they are fast growing startup and internationally growing startup, they wanted to build a robust management system from the day one. And they thought that Amplon would provide sufficient framework for them to have that structure. Then on the other end, we have these huge corporations like Hitachi, ABB, and Oceanering and 3M. And there, of course, their benefits are greater because then the alignment and the data kind of compiling is eliminated as a waste.
So how does Amplon make sure that the customer data is protected?
Good question. So We are using Google Cloud at the moment as a data center and data hosting provider for us. Data security is extremely important for us as this strategy is consisting of confidential information. We are currently in the final stage to have this SOC 2 Type 2 cyber security certification, which is again one of the proofs that the data that you store in the databases is safe and secure. And we have been evaluated by third-party companies to check if there are any vulnerabilities happening in the system.
Okay, so I have one more in the private chat. So how have regular users reacted to their shift to Amplon?
They have been receiving it very well, and basically the messaging is that regular users don't want to return anymore to Excel. So I think that's quite good statement.
Yes, it is. So next one we have is single sign-on possible?
Yes, single sign-on is possible and even recommended because that increases security a lot and it eliminates a lot of administrative work from the administrators.
Okay, that was it from my side. If you guys have any questions. More questions in Q&A. Well, can we share the PPT?
Yes, materials will be shared and the recording as well.
Okay, so next question we have is how to prioritize between projects.
That is a tough one without knowing the context. I think the thing is that the X matrix is a really excellent tool in having the focus in the organization. That's why I don't always understand why Toyota, for instance, doesn't use X matrix in their country and the regional levels. They do, according to my information, they use it in the headquarter levels, 2 levels in there, but on the lower levels they don't use because the X matrix is a visual leadership tool, and if there is too many objectives, too many projects or too many KPIs, the X matrix size becomes bigger and it becomes difficult to read. And that should be a kind of wake-up call to every manager that if it's difficult to read, then it can't be easy to implement. And then you should go back on the planning board and should go back and do your focused selections one more time and see that you don't have too many projects in the X matrix.
Okay, so we have 5 minutes. So if you guys have any questions.
I think if there is no more questions, then we can end the webinar. And I thank you for your interest in Amplon. I wish to connect with you later on. You will receive an email after this webinar with a link to recording and to the materials. And we of course hope that you follow up Amplon in LinkedIn and hope to speak to you soon. Thank you.